Chris from Epix here. This is a short tutorial on the invoice export side of our system. So this is the invoices for both sales and purchase invoices, the exporting of them to your financial account system. So usually this role would be for a handful of people in your organisation where they've got the permissions to export CSV files from our system containing the invoice information, and then they would use that file to then upload into the accounts software, whichever package that may be. So the fact you're watching this video, I would assume that you already have the permissions to do this, but if you don't, you'll need to request those from your line manager or whoever it is that deals with that side of our system within your organisation and get them to get this added to your menu. In my demo system here, I've got a menu item called Export. It might be called Invoice Export or perhaps even Accounts Interface in your own systems, but you'll be looking for these items under that menu. So the top two items here, the ones that are called the Invoice Exports for both sales and purchase, those will produce the export file. I'll cover that in a moment. And the two links here are for the previous invoice exports that you may well have done. So any previous batches that you've exported, these are the reports that will enable you to find those. And I'll cover those again in this video. We'll begin with the sales invoice side of things. So really what you'll be looking for as an accounts person is on your dashboard you'll have the invoicing widget. And so as a demonstration, what we can see here under the heading for the accounts interface summary, we've got a number of unsent. And in this demo system today, there are 110 items that are not yet sent to the accounts interface. So in other words, there are 110 invoices sitting in here that need to be exported to go to your accounts package. And you can click on that, and this will show you the results of those 110 invoices, and you can then see them all. And you can even delve into the invoices or the jobs if you so wished. However, the important thing to remember is that the invoice export, and this is the same for both sales and purchases, that when you press the export, it will export anything that has not yet been sent. So in this system, the reason I drew your attention to the dashboard here, the 110 invoices here are at the moment as yet unsent. So the moment we press sales invoice export and our file is generated here, those 110 invoices are now no longer unsent. They've been sent out to accounts. And of course what I mean by sent to accounts is that they have been copied into a CSV file, which you can then download by clicking here. And as you can see at the bottom of my browser, a CSV file has now been downloaded. And so that is the file that you will then use within your own account software to import those transactions. So for that next step of importing those, you'll need to consult your own manuals or online tutorials for your own accounts package, because each one of them is slightly different. The one thing I would say is that it should be avoided is to open that file. Don't open the file. You would potentially end up making a mess of some of the data held within it, because if you open it in a package such as Excel does have a habit of reformatting certain data types when it's opened. So if you were to open it and then resave it, you could end up changing dates to be numbers, or you could end up stripping a leading zero perhaps off an account number or account code. You could end up losing that leading zero, and that sort of thing does happen if you change things within a spreadsheet. So it's best to simply download it, and then if you right click on it, certainly in my system here I can see show in folder, and that will just simply open the folder that it's in, usually your downloads area, and you can then move that file to wherever you want to put it and save it as a batch number or however you deal with those things, and then import them into your account software. If I go back to the dashboard now, the same sort of thing applies to our purchase invoices. So with purchasing, if we scroll down here on my dashboard, we can see I've got two dashboard widgets here that are related to purchase orders. So the purchase order statuses simply gives us all our purchase orders that are in the system and what status they are at. And the purchase invoice passing, this is where you find any invoices that have not yet been passed for payment. So if we were to run the export right now, this value here would not be included, the invoice or invoices that relate to this value would not be included in that file, because at the moment this is still sitting in the system awaiting someone to pass it. So again, same as sales invoices, the process is exactly the same. We click on here and we go for purchase invoice export. Now in this instance there were none to pass or to send out. So if I download that file and I was to open it, we would find it completely empty. However, if we now go into the unpassed, if I now, for the sake of this demonstration, select all and I pass all of those for payment like that. I could of course use the drop down here to select them all if there were loads of them. I then press continue. Those are now passed, so if I press our home button to refresh our dashboard completely, and then I go into the invoice export and I go to purchase invoice export, then the 3 invoices that I just passed for payment then have now been sent in a file. So I can then click on that file to download it here. And the same process applies. You would then go into your accounts package and import that file following the steps that you would use within your individual account software. So if I now press the home button once more to take us back to the dashboard and refresh our system, if I scroll down here, what we can see, just to recap on the invoicing widget, the unsent items are now at 0 because we exported our 110 sales invoices. If we want to find any previously exported batches, I mentioned earlier we've got 2 areas we can look at, purchase and sales, for previous exported batches. So if we click on to the previous sales invoice export, you can of course specify a batch number if you know it, and you can go with the date range, or we have also provided you with some radio buttons for last week or last month, or indeed all exports for all time. So if I show you, let's say, show all in my demo system, then this is quite a small number. In yours, as you do this on a regular basis, you'd expect the show all to provide a massive result, so you'd probably want to narrow them down. But we can see here that we've got batches that are being exported, and today's batch is here. If you wanted to see the contents of those, you can view the list of the transactions that that file comprises by clicking here, like that. And you can also view the visits that relate to them. And over here we've got the different export options available to us. So you can export in QuickBooks, different versions of. We've got Sage, Dimension 0, and of course we've got Sage Lines if you're breaking down the lines, and we've got 0 in the detail report and also QuickBooks Cloud. And as we add more of our different export formats to this for any different accounts packages we interface to, we will then add them to this report. So if you wanted to regenerate this file, let's say you downloaded this file, saved it somewhere and then you can't find it, then if you're using Sage, you would come to this report, and if you were just doing the standard Sage export, you would click that button to download the Sage file here. And you could click on that and that file will then re-download for you to then save wherever you need it, and you can then import that file into Sage. Similarly, we've got the purchasing previous batches. So if I go to the previous purchase invoice exports, same thing applies, the date and that you created the export. So if I just simply put in today's date and I press search, we can see here that there has been 2 files, one of which contained nothing, that was our first file we clicked on, and the second one which contained the 3 invoices. And again, we can generate a standard export, or we can do the Sage, lines and so on, similar to the purchase one. And also we have got the 3 invoices there that you can click on, which then take you in and you can see the contents of that batch to see what the invoices were. As ever, if you've got any questions about anything you've seen, or you need any menu items adding or anything like that, then don't hesitate to give us a shout. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. That way you'll get to see lots of handy hints as we add them to the YouTube channel.